Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. In today's video, I'm going to run the virtual New York City Marathon here in Ireland. I made a video a couple of days ago explaining what I hope to achieve, and as always there'll be chapter markers down below so you can skip on to the bits that you might be interested in. I'm making this video because I'm trying to run all 6 of the major marathons in the Abbott World Series. There's 6 of them. I've run 2. I've run the Chicago Marathon virtually, and I've entered various lotteries. I didn't get the New York lottery this time around, I think. So I saw on Strava that if you are prepared to run a virtual marathon within 2 weeks of the New York Marathon, you could get guaranteed entry into the New York Marathon 2023, so I signed up. That's what I'm going to try and do. I ran a couple of different virtual marathons already in Ireland. I ran the Chicago Virtual Marathon. I ran that in the Phoenix Park here in Dublin. And then I ran the virtual Mississippi Blues Marathon. I ran that in the docks in Dublin. Well, it's beside a river. So tenuous, yeah. And this time I had to pick a new route. I was wondering where to run the virtual New York City Marathon in Ireland. I don't really like laps of courses. I did that for both the Mississippi Virtual Marathon in the docks and also round and round the Phoenix Park till I was bored out of my brains and tired doing the virtual Chicago Marathon. So last year, a friend of mine, Paul, asked me would I run the old rail trail between the towns of Athlone and Mullingar in the middle of Ireland. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. It's a greenway, so there was a rail track that's been dug up. And I guess it's 2 lanes wide of largely hard surface asphalt tarmac, and it's popular with cyclists and popular with people walking, and it goes between 2 towns in the middle of Ireland. So I thought, yeah, why don't I do that? I really enjoyed it the last time. I like the idea of starting in one place and ending in the other, no laps, you either make it or break it. And yeah, so that's what I decided to do. I like logistics. The last time I ran this, we went in 2 different cars and parked one at one end, one at the other end, and ran between. This time I'm doing it on my own, and so I thought, well, I knew there was a train station at Athlone and one in Mullingar, and I thought, right, I'll get the train, and then I thought there'd be a train between Athlone and Mullingar, but realised somewhat stupidly that's the bit they dug up. So I have to go out on one train line, I think going to Galway, I get off in Athlone, and then run to the other one and come back at a different line. But I thought that was going to be interesting, to leave the house here in Dublin, get on a bus, and then on a train to Athlone, then run the distance between the 2, and then get on another train, and then another train, right back. So that's what I'm hoping to do, and that's my plan. In getting the trains to and from Athlone and Mullingar, I have to get up early and I have to carry everything that I need along the way. I can stop for supplies in Athlone, so I don't have to carry it all the way to Athlone. But it could be cold in the morning. Now, I've been looking at the weather quite a bit, and I'm hoping to get it when the wind is either neutral or blowing from Mullingar, or from Athlone to Mullingar, in other words, behind my back. I had planned, today is Monday, and I had planned to run it today, but circumstances changed, and I'm going to try and run it today or tomorrow. Now, we're in October in Ireland, and it's very windy, and it can be very wet, and worse, it's very changeable. I've been looking at the weather forecast, it's changing hour by hour. So as I stand here, it's probably lunchtime, 1 o'clock or thereabouts, and I might run it tomorrow morning, I might run it the following morning. So I'm going to keep an eye. Later today, I'll have to make the decision, because I can't really run it any later in the week, and the 2-week time slot, I just want to get it run and done. So I've been looking at windy.com, and that's pretty handy. It's really good for showing you wind. I've looked at Met to see what the temperature and all that will be like. I think it's going to rain in part. I don't mind rain. Running in a marathon in rain probably won't be as easy, and you can get chafing and a couple of other issues. But largely, I won't mind the rain. The rain at the moment, it can either be very hard, very briefly, or it can be long and soft. A nice soft day running to the middle of Ireland will pretty much suit me pretty well. I don't know what the weather's going to be like on the morning. It could be cold. I'm not going to bring gloves because I think it's going to be warm enough to do without them, but I am going to put a top on just to keep me warm on the journey. So you never know whether Iarn Road Éireann or Irish Rail will turn on the heat in the carriages, so you just never know. So I'm going to bring a top. Now, the handy thing is, and I suppose it stands to reason, the start of the trail in Athlone is very close to the existing rail station, and it's the same at the other end in Mullingar. So I'm going to bring a top that I was planning to put into the recycling. I'm going to wear that. I found a recycling spot a couple of 100 yards from the train station. I'm going to go down. I'm going to buy some water. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to recycle the top. I know where the recycling is, and I'm going to recycle the bottles that the water comes in. So that's the first plan, and then I'm going to get ready to go. When I get to the other end, I've discovered there is a sports goods store, an outdoor store, about, again, another couple of 100 meters from the end. And depending on the weather and how salty and how I feel, I'm probably going to buy another top there, pop that on, and wear that on the train home. In terms of the kit, last time I went high-tech, I wore a pair of Alpha Flies, I wore this top, I wore some sore shorts, tights, which I really enjoyed, really good, and a cap, the usual sort of stuff, and it was really good. I started off with a vest. It all went horribly wrong. The vest wasn't very good. I was trying to carry water because it was unsupported. Paul had buried some water in some bushes somewhere along. He doesn't live far away, and he'd done that. But I found the whole thing, my whole strategy was really didn't work particularly well. I ended up taking the bottles and stuffing them down my trousers, which actually worked really well, surprisingly, and that was fine. So this time I've had to have a rethink of the strategy. One of the commenters, Mike, had suggested I should do it old school. No carbon fiber plate shoes, no GPS, sort of flat cola, and it's an idea I thought about for a very long period of time. Well, from then, which was last July, till now, which is, well, the July before last, until October. So I've been thinking about it. I actually went onto various websites, Etsy and various things, to try and get vintage clothing, vintage marathon clothing. But in the end, I couldn't find any, so I'm half doing Mike's plan and not the other half. So I'm going to wear my Asics cap, my white Asics cap, and my white on-running socks, the same ones I wore for the Berlin Marathon 4 weeks ago. So that's that bit sorted out. And then I'm also going to wear this top, my sole running top. I ran it last time. The zip comes up and down. It's supposed to be 15 degrees. So it could be warm, and it's really easy to cool yourself. Just drop this up and down. Usually not when anyone's around. So that's the other thing. In terms of shorts, I'm going to run in my unsanctioned shorts. I had ordered a pair of shorts specifically for the event, but they haven't come yet. So I'm going to run in my unsanctioned shorts, or half tights they're called, but they're really shorts for the outside. I usually wear them only on filming days because they've got two outside pockets that I can put, well, effectively this in. And so that's kind of handy. And so I'm going to wear those, not my ideal for a marathon, but I do need to carry quite a bit of stuff. I've got a lot of stuff to carry, so I'm running in the Salomon Sense Pro 5 jacket. What I'm going to do is bring it down to Athlone without any water in it, and then get the water in a local store, fill up the reservoir bottles. I've read somewhere that the bottle bottoms can sometimes give you a lot of people, according to the reviews, bruised ribs. The last time I ran, I actually ended up sticking the water bottles down my trousers, so I might end up resorting to that if this starts to get sore. But I'm looking forward to testing a couple of things. I'm going to test that. I'm going to test the Apple Watch Ultra. And oh yes, the shoes. So what shoe am I going to run in? Well, this might come as a bit of a surprise. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I've chosen this shoe, which I'm not going to explain in this video. I'm going to make a video afterwards, probably for next week, of the particular shoe, and I'll explain all then. But in the meantime, this is it, the Adidas Adizero Prime X Strung. So I'm going to be running in this mad shoe. Haven't run in it before, so I'm going to lace it up and go either tomorrow or the next day. That is my plan in terms of shoes. Again, I'll make a video. So I'm going to try and review the watch, the jacket, and the shoe by running a full marathon in them. So when Mike suggested old school, there was a couple of things that I was really interested about that. One was just running for the sake of running without any idea of where I was, what time it was, how far I'd gone. So this struck me as an interesting idea. Now, how do you do that when you're trying to make sure that you are going to record for Strava the run? And so I'm going to do the Strava bit on my Garmin 955 Solar. I'm also testing the Apple Watch Ultra. But I don't want to see them as I go along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put colored tape over the displays on both of them, so I won't be able to see anything. I'm going to turn the notifications off, so I won't know by looking at the watches, but they'll still be recording. I'll have to do a little test as I head off to make sure that they're recording. I don't want to run a marathon to find out, oh, I forgot to press the start button. That would not be beyond me. I know the route is 42.2 kilometers long because I've run it before and I've tested it with my course pace too. I'll put something up here and you'll see it. And so I know that. I also know that there's various places along the way, and I had a look in planning the route. Just so I've got some logistics that I know that Moate, an abandoned railway station, is about 13.5 kilometers in, so maybe a third. Then there's a bridge at Streamstown, which I think is 25k in. I'll double check all this before I go. And then there's another station at Castletown Geoghegan. Good luck with spelling that. And I'm trying to make pieces to camera at all these, and I think Castletown Geoghegan is at 30k, so 12k to go. I'm thinking that at Castletown Geoghegan, that's where it's going to start. Anything bad is going to kick in. And then I'm going to go and the Royal Canal meets the trail, and I'm going to make some Joycean thing there, and I'll talk about Ulysses yet again. And anyway, I'm going to do that hopefully, and that's a couple of kilometers before the end, and then run to the end and then take off the tape, see what the time was. I don't care about the time, I'll just check the distance, but it'd be interesting. And then I'm also going to make sure that I go along till it's 42.3, maybe by walking or whatever, and then stop. Now hopefully that'll work. So that's my logistical plan. I'm going to bring some other things with me that I might need. Some Compeed for blisters. I saw a guy at the end of the Berlin Marathon. He had horrendous blisters. I've never had any problems in any of the 6 or 7, 8 marathons I've run so far. I've never had any problems, but you never know, and it could rain and that could affect things. I'm going to put on plenty of Gold Bond Friction Defense, which is my lube of choice. I'm going to put plenty on here, plenty where my chest strap is. I'm going to put plenty on the various nether regions. I'm probably going to put somewhere, I think this rubbing might be from the said Salon bottles, and some on the back of the neck, and various other places that I think of along the way that might chafe. So I'm going to do that. I'm carrying the Compeed, some lens wipes for these and also for these and for the cameras. So do that. So I'll have the lens wipes for those. I'll have some ibuprofen just in case. I'll have the dude wipes that I'm hoping not to need, but you never know. But it's good to have them. And I'll carry a couple of things like that, some plasters that I probably don't need. I will carry the emergency blanket. I'll do that. I have one of those from my first aid kit. I'll also, there's a whistle, and there's the emergency siren on the Apple Watch Ultra. Spoiler alert, it's not very loud, but there is that. And so I'll carry my phone, which I always do anyway, but particularly on running a solo marathon in the middle of nowhere, good idea to carry all that stuff. So all that will be coming with me. I was really interested in Mike's suggestion of old school flat cola, and if I could get some flat cola, I would. But I'm a fairly light sipper. If I run a half marathon, I can go out without water, without any bother. I'm not looking at high performance. So I'm going to carry a litre of water. That should be enough for me. I ran it before. I was light sipping. And I'm roughly the same temperature. On all of my previous marathons, I've run with Morton gel. And it's really good. I mean, it's really good, but it's bland, and which is one of the things that makes it good. Most of the other ones I don't like, the sugary stuff. But this time I decided I'm going to do something different. I'm going to eat stuff that I feel like eating, because if the worst comes to the worst, well, I'm out in the countryside. So I have my trusty dude wipes. So I'm going to basically, my friend Liam is always suggesting that I eat jelly beans. He'd eat anything, I think, and drink pints of Guinness along the way. That won't be me. But I'm going to do, I got these Athlone sweets, jelly babies. Seems like I'm to Athlone. And then I've got these peanut butter balls that are made of peanut butter and dates and peanuts, I guess. I think there's maple syrup in them. They are fantastic. They're on sale in the university where I work, and little balls, and they're on sale in the university, but they happen to be made by the partner of somebody who works with us, and he's given me all the ingredients, telling me what's in them, and all that sort of stuff, and they're going to be fantastic. So I'm actually going to be looking forward to eating each of the 3 balls when I stop at the various points, and the last one probably in Castletown Geoghegan with 12k to go, and then somehow or other I'm going to nibble on. I can't imagine me wanting to really eat these jelly beans, but I'll eat them along the way, and I may or may not have flat cola. It'll be water, and if I could get flat cola or maybe even fizzy cola, we'll see tomorrow or the next day. Whenever I run it, we'll see, and I'll pop a tablet in that for electrolytes, and other than that, I'm good to go. So what do I think will happen? Well, I don't really know. I'm kind of hoping that it'll be all just enjoyable. It's 4 weeks after Berlin. I didn't overtrain between the period. I hope I didn't undertrain. I'm hoping to be able to just go and stop and then go again. The last time I ran this, I did stop and just take a few photos here and there. But this time, I'm just going to try and take it easy. I do want to test the shoes, so at some point in time, I'll probably try and pick up the pace. And but very briefly, I'm really just trying to do this for the sheer enjoyment of running. I say that now. I woke up and it was raining, which was exactly what I was expecting it to be like from the weather forecast. And then I did what I always do, go down, go to the toilet, weigh myself. I hadn't done anything to try and limit my weight before the race. So I was probably a couple of kilograms heavier than I would be if I was actually running a real race where the time mattered. So I did all that, came downstairs, did all my usual health metrics, my blood pressure, my temperature, my pulse, oxygen, all that kind of stuff that I do every day as a matter of routine. And then I settled into eating my typical breakfast for the main, which is bananas and some raisins. But I also actually drank 500 ml of the Morton drink mix, and I had porridge instead of Weetabix. But effectively, pretty similar breakfast, and my gold blend coffee, which I always have before I go. So I did all that, and I headed out the door. It was dry when I left the house. Ran around the corner, jumped on a bus through the centre of town past the Halfpenny Bridge and the River Liffey onto Houston Station. I arrived, I was the first person on the train. It looks empty here, but the train was actually quite crowded on the day. And we headed out. It's a beautiful journey. We headed out through the plains of Kildare, through what's called the Curragh. I must go back and make a video there. It's a very beautiful open stretch. And then through typical Irish rolling Midland countryside until we arrived in Athlone on what was a very beautiful morning. I did what I thought I'd do, went to the toilet, came back and took a picture of the deserted by now platform, and then headed into town. I got to the shopping centre, filled the canisters with some water and headed out. I had planned to recycle my top, but the recycling didn't take textiles, so kept the top, and it was a short walk to the start. I headed out the long straight track, and you can see it's covered in leaves and damp in the morning after the night's rain. I'm trying to film as I go, and you can hear my keys jangling, but long straight track, about the only similarity to the New York Marathon, the distance and the straightness. And here I am trying to film the shoes, because I'm trying to test the shoes on a marathon distance, my watch on the marathon distance, the backpack on a marathon distance, and just the distance itself, I suppose. So again, you can hear the keys merrily jangling. At this point in time, I'm really enjoying it. I'm heading into the first break at the town of Moate, which is further up. There's a few people on the way. How you doing? And didn't pass many, but some cyclists, some runners. And here we are heading into Moate. So here we are in Moate, and time for a peanut ball. So this is my mush of peanut ball and jelly beans. The mush of peanut ball and jelly beans. Oh well. Here's a bit of peanut, bit of jelly bean. It's great. Peanut ball, jelly bean. There's a black cat up ahead. Now, is that good or bad luck? I'm 13 kilometers in. I kind of know a couple of places, like I know there's a train station at Moate, an abandoned train station. I'll turn the camera around a second and get a good idea. So there's an abandoned train station. So far, jacket has been perfect, food is perfect, water, hydration, all that's gone fine. Shoes have been fine, and shorts, everything has gone really well. It's a bit windy, hasn't rained, but hey, we're, 13 and a half kilometers into a marathon. We're barely getting going. So I'll scan the camera around. So you can see it's an old train station. I came from there. There's a few people down there. I'm going there. The council have recently installed kilometre markers, so I always knew where I was, but I didn't know what time it was because I kept the watches covered up. And I stopped every now and then, doubling back on myself, making sort of pieces to camera, and here I am, merrily jangling my way through the countryside under the various bridges, every single one of which I enjoyed passing on. Okay, here I am in Streamstown. Ironically, Streamstown, the first place where I found water, which is behind that wall, hidden. Didn't see it the last time around. And there's toilets down there. I think I'm about 26 kilometers in. There's signs. I think it says, what's that say? That says Mullingar 17. So I mightn't be quite going to Mullingar.
I don't know, I think I'm 25, 26 in. And yeah, I'm getting a bit tired. Looking forward to opportunities to stop and film like this. Which reminds me I better start eating. So this is the mush I've left of my peanut butter ball with some sort of jelly beans rammed in. Delicious. Started there. I'm here, next stop here, then here, and here. Let's see what the sound is like as I go under the bridge. I've reached that point in the marathon where you can hear the echo and the wind. Yeah, I've reached that point where I'm kind of getting a bit tired. I know I've got the back broken a bit. I'm just getting lazy, really. I'm enjoying the run. I'm a few niggles here and there, but minor. Everything's holding out really well. All the kit, all the gear. The food is fantastic. It's funny. At this point in time, I never look forward to eating food. I'm certainly not when I'm sucking on Morton's. But Ivan at work, his partner, makes the peanut balls, and then I ram them with Athlone jelly beans and mush the two together, which wasn't really my plan. But gosh, it's great. So in 5K, I'm gonna have another lot. I could have filled with water there, but I didn't. I'm a light sipper. I drank 500 ml of Vidhit, which I really like, back in Athlone before the start, and recycled the bottle, and then filled these two, and they're going fine. One has an electrolyte in it. The flat cola would have been fantastic. I just didn't want to have to bring 500 milliliters of flat cola all the way to Athlone. But actually they're fine. One's water, one's got some sort of tablet in it. And yeah, feeling good, feeling really good. At this point, I really should shut up and run, but any old excuse. But yeah, it won't run itself. I've just come through Castletown. You can see the station in the background. I've got about 10k to go. I'm going to do another piece of camera when I get to wherever the Royal Canal meets the trail here. And so far so good. I mean, I'm tired, lacking motivation. When all you've got to do is finish and the time is irrelevant, it's very hard to pick the tired legs up. So I'm sort of walking a lot, making excuses to make pieces of camera, I suppose. But it's an incredibly enjoyable marathon to run. If you really wanted to set a fast time and you picked a day when the wind is in the right direction, there's a couple of crossings. I was crossing back there. But otherwise, okay, today there's lots of leaves on the ground, so it wouldn't be ideal or conducive for a fast time. But if you came in the summertime, early in the morning, when it's cold early in the morning in Irish summer, you could, yeah, I think you could bang out a pretty quick one. But I'm just going to enjoy the last bit of it. Everything has gone well. I brought an emergency blanket, whistle, ibuprofen, plasters, Compeed, none of which I seem to need, thankfully. The vest has gone fine. I don't have any chafing anywhere. Slight pains in the legs, as you'd expect. My ankle's a bit sore, but you know, it's a marathon. What would you expect? It's really enjoyable. I'll probably just breeze on in up to the next stop. I've kind of given up on the eating. Usually at the end of a marathon I get a bit dizzy for a couple of minutes, so that might happen. It didn't happen after Berlin, but most marathons I get a bit dizzy, can't see entirely properly for a while. Once I finish, then I get a bit nauseous usually, but then if I sit down for about 10 minutes, the one thing I don't get is hungry or thirsty, which I always find strange. But I'll spin around now. You'll see I'm heading back towards another railway bridge, and yeah, the canal. So yeah, I'll stop filming and get going. I'm in that stage of the marathon of mind games where ultimately it's all about what goes on in your head. For all the videos I make about my shoes and kit, I know it's up here that the central problem lies in the sheer laziness of the end of a marathon. And I'm right in that phase right now, and I have any old excuse to not run as hard as I would if I was really trying to do this. I've done this in 4 hours before, less than 4 hours. It was the first marathon I ran in less than 4 hours. And I remember early on when I started making YouTube videos, I was trying to break a 4-hour marathon, and Raj Kumar kept saying I would. And I kept feeling guilty every time I failed. And when I finally did it on this stretch, and it was at about this point in time of the run that I decided, yeah, I was definitely going to do it, and I put the foot down. Whereas today, all I have to do is finish. It could be at any time and get a train back to Dublin at any stage. It turned out that there are kilometre markers all the way along here, and I had thought originally that now I've no idea what time it is. My phone is turned off. I've still got this over this watch and the same over the Apple Watch. I've turned off all notifications and all sorts of stuff. I think I heard the 12 o'clock bells going by in a church, the Angelus they'd call it here. I think I heard those go off, and I thought I could do some calculations, but I couldn't be bothered. I'm actually really enjoying it. I suppose the first thing to say is to thank everybody who put so many nice comments on YouTube or Strava or various different platforms, because it really does help motivate me either in making videos or just running. And here comes a cyclist. And so here I'm making a video and I'm running the marathon for the sheer enjoyment of it. And despite the fact that my left leg is a bit sore, my left ankle is a bit sore, and but everything else is actually going fine. Really fine. Never seem to have too many troubles in the marathon. Just the sheer laziness. So I think I'm less than 10k to go. I mean, I could just pick it up and run, which I will a bit here and there, because I want to stop when we meet the canal. And then I think when we meet the canal, I might have about 5k to go. I'm at that sort of bargaining stage where you go, okay, 10k to go. That's like running out to the start of the Great South Wall from home and back. And you're kind of ticking off each kilometre as you go. But it's starting to rain lightly, which is actually very pleasant. So you can see the sun isn't in as much as it was. And one of the things about stopping is it reminds me to kind of say the kind of things that I can make to the video, so that when I get to the end, I don't have to spend all my time concentrating back onto what I was thinking about to speak about. And of course, the other thing about when I go running is I always like to have something to think about. So I tend to go to the next stop and think, what will I say to the camera? What will I think about? What sort of section of road are we on, or memories of the last time I was here, etc. So yeah, looking forward to meeting the canal in a couple of kilometres time. Stop speaking so quickly. For all of you who are imperialists, a little known fact about the metric system is that although a kilometre is 1,000 metres long, when you're in a marathon, the further you run in, the longer the kilometres get. Fact.
I was enjoying myself throwing sticks to the dogs, but I was also quite seriously trying to test the shoes for a future video. And so here I am again later in the race trying to take some pictures of myself running along in the Adizero Prime X Strung shoes. And of course, stopping again for every dog that I happened to see along the way that was friendly.
There you are, aren't you? A lovely Bow Wow. Oh, lovely Bow Wow. Great excuse not to run when there's a dog.
Oh no!
Go on back to the trail and on your way. Do you want to be a star? I'm here at the Royal Canal. I don't know what time it is. I know I've run about 40 kilometres, 2 to go. I'm not in a hurry because I'm enjoying myself. I'm about 2 and a bit kilometres from Mullingar. I said I'd say something about Ulysses. In Ulysses, James Joyce actually spent some time in Mullingar. And in Ulysses, Leopold Bloom, the main character, the older man, he's thinking about his daughter who's come to Mullingar, and he's in Dublin and he's going to Paddy Digna's funeral on his way to Glasnevin Cemetery. He sees a barge and he thinks of the barge coming from Athlone, where I've come from, down this canal through Mullingar and on to Dublin. And he sees it at Crosscruns Bridge in Dublin as he goes to Paddy Digna's funeral. And later in that day, Father Conmee is going out to Artane to try and get trying to get Paddy Digna's son into an orphanage. And the boat, he sees the boat at Newcomen Bridge and the barge, and Joyce uses this as a way of moving time and space through Ulysses. And one of the things that the beauty of running today is, and the beauty of marathon running for me, is the time to just think about stuff. I'm not in a hurry. Bev said this morning, enjoy, and it was the best mantra of all. I'm just enjoying it. I could run to 2 kilometres, but I probably will try and go the last kilometre at a pace, not a very fast pace. Everything is held up well. These solvent bottles have not irritated me. I've had no chafing, no rubbing. The legs are a bit beat up, of course. I've used every dog along as an excuse to stop and pieces to camera, and but it's been absolutely fantastic. Wonderful run. I've got to make sure that I've still got the watches covered up. I know the distance because there's signposts and there's kilometer markers. So yeah, 2k to go. I'll actually run some of it. Speaking of running, what a gorgeous afternoon it's turned out to. It was supposed to rain a lot around now, but it doesn't seem to have. So Mullingar, here we come.
Got to the 42.3, peeled the tape off to discover that I finished in 4 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Uploaded to Strava, so New York City Marathon 2023. In reality, here I come. I had a fantastic journey home, watching the sun going down over rural Ireland as I headed towards the city. It was very beautiful, and reflecting on what had been one of the best days that I've spent in years. What a wonderful way to spend just less than 5 hours. Incredibly enjoyable, no pressure whatsoever. Stopped when I wanted to stop, ran when I wanted to run, ate when I wanted to eat. All the objectives that I'd set myself, I'd achieved, because effectively the main objective was qualify for New York 2023, which I did. A couple of things didn't go according to plan. My recycling the top plan didn't work. It's probably better overall. I just had to carry it. It was fine. And I had a problem with the shoe. I'm going to review the shoe next week, but you kind of, if you're eagle-eyed, you'll see what that was. But I don't want that to take away from the gloss of what was one of the best running experiences I've had. I learnt loads, which is always what I'm trying to do. And yeah, I had a blast. So see you further down the road. Hey Quinn, how was your day? Bet you didn't do as many steps as I did.